My name is Tom Ilube. I'm Chief Exec of Crossword Cybersecurity. I set up the company in 2014 and we listed on AIM in 2018. Crossword, as it says there, is an innovative cybersecurity company. What we do is that we reduce cyber risks for our clients, and our clients will typically be corporate customers, medium to large, some small, not consumers, not government focused. So we're focused on the enterprise and corporate market. We do that by providing a portfolio of innovative products and services with the emphasis on portfolio. We are not a single product company. The whole design of Crossword was to build a portfolio of cybersecurity products and services, and we're aiming to have 5 products plus our services side to give us the diversification that we want. And our products and services are powered by university and other research-driven insights. So we talk to universities, look for interesting intellectual property that we can commercialize, turn it into products, and take those products to market. We've worked with and have relationships with about 40 universities in the UK. Today, the company has about 70 staff in our London office and some in Poland, and we've just opened in Oman in the Gulf as well. So I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. The leadership team is very experienced. My background is 30+ years in the tech industry. I was Chief Information Officer of Egg, the internet bank, in its early days. I've worked for Goldman Sachs, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and so forth. Sir Richard Dearlove is our chairman. He was a former head of MI6 and is also very involved with the university sector as well, chair of trustees of the University of London. And our other executives are all experienced executives with long histories in the technology and consulting industry. As I said, I founded the company. I've invested over £1 million of cash into the business. I hold a circa 20% stake in the business. So I am very focused on driving share value, driving growth in the business in order to increase the value of my stake and the stake of my shareholders. And I'm equally focused on not losing the £1 million+ of cash that I've invested in the business. I'll go through some of these slides in summary. The slides will all be made available afterwards, so I'll just pick on some of the main points as I go through them. Total revenue for the first half of 2021 was just over 800,000. That was 22% increase on 2020. 2020 revenue was about 1.6 million in total, and that was an increase of about 25% on the previous year. So through the pandemic, we grew by about 25%. Between 2020 and 2021, the full year, we expect to grow about or over 50%, and we expect to grow the same or more as we go into 2022. I think we're expecting to grow something like 60% next year. Product and consulting revenue are both growing very nicely, and a lot of our revenue on the consulting side is recurring as well as on the product side as well. Losses about 1.5 million for the first half of the year, slight increase on the same period last year because we raised, we did an acquisition and worked on another acquisition, so there were some additional overheads. We did a fundraise earlier this year of 1.6 million at 260 pence a share. We've now split the shares 10-to-1, so the equivalent of 26p a share. And we did a subsequent fundraise in July of about 5 million. So we're now fully funded through to break even over the next few years. We would only look to raise funds again if we wanted to do an acquisition or something like that, or accelerate growth in some way. We've got a very strong board. We added a couple of new people, Tara and Robert, earlier in the year, and we've got a very good set of non-exec directors. And we've acquired 2 companies this year, one called Verifiable Credentials, the other one called Stager, which I'll talk about in a moment. Our main product in the market is called Risiken, I'll talk a bit more about it in a moment, but essentially the focus is on rolling that out to as many clients as possible. We now have about 300 organizations making use of it. We're aiming to have 500 using it by the end of the year, and we're aiming to have 1,000 using it by the end of next year. So that's where the big product push is. We have 3 products today, and I'll touch on those as we go through. So we expect to meet market expectations of 50% growth for 2021 versus 2020. And as I said, the board is confident of delivering strong growth in 2022, which will take income to over 4 million. We've focused on rolling out Risiken, as I said, working with various membership bodies. We are targeting having 1,000 organizations using the product by the end of 2022. We started a pilot now with a very large global aerospace defense and security company that has a large number of suppliers. Risiken is a supplier assurance product, and our other products are making good progress in the market as well. We have 3 products: Risiken, Nixa, and Identiproof. Risiken is our main product that's out in the market at the moment. It is an enterprise class, third party, i.e. supplier risk assurance product, and it originated from research done at City University of London. Nixa is a machine learning application that defends against a variety of cybersecurity attacks, and that is being trialed and rolled out as we speak. And Identiproof is a new product that focuses on an area called verifiable credentials, and again, that's a new product that we're rolling out into the market and getting out bidding for opportunities as we speak. We also have a very strong consulting team that carry out cybersecurity consulting and threat intelligence services. And over the last few years, we've created a couple of other companies with universities, CyberOwl with Coventry University, and BizGen we created in the blockchain space with Warwick and EPFL in Switzerland after ideas generated from those universities. The cybersecurity market, as many people might know, is a big and growing market. The UK market is valued at over 7 billion and is regarded as the biggest cybersecurity market in Europe. 4 in 10 businesses and a quarter of charities report having had cybersecurity breaches. So this is a continuous problem. Cybersecurity keeps evolving, keeps changing, and therefore innovative solutions that address the problems are continuously required by companies, and that's where we fit in. Risiken, as I said, is a supply chain cyber assurance product. What that means is the way in which a number of companies are being attacked these days is by hackers and other threat actors attacking their suppliers. So rather than you being attacked yourself as a company, what someone might do is look at your suppliers, maybe your accounting firm, maybe the people that provide you with materials or goods or whatever it is. They'll try and hack those people as a route into your systems, and that's called supply chain attacks. And so if you're a company with maybe 500 or 1,000 or 5,000 suppliers, one of the things you need to do is assess the risk of those suppliers. Are they as mature as they need to be in order to prevent them being attacked? Because if they're attacked, you get attacked. And Risiken is a platform that helps companies assess the risk in their supply chain. It is a secure and encrypted platform, a software as a service platform that puts organizations in control. And the business model is recurring revenue based on the number of suppliers that you are assessing. And those deal sizes could be anywhere from, at the smaller end, 3 to 5K per annum. The medium-sized ones might be 10 to 50K per annum. There might be some large ones that are in the high tens, low hundreds of thousands per annum. And we have products versions of Risiken, Pro, Enterprise, and Partner versions out there in the market with each of those. It's a very scalable platform, and we're rolling it out in the UK, and we'll be rolling it out in other countries over the coming months and years. So as I said, we've got 300 plus organizations making use of Risiken today to assure over close to 4,000 suppliers. That is a tenfold increase in the number of organizations using Risiken over the last year or so, 6 months when this presentation was originally put together. We've really accelerated our rollout of Risiken over the last year, and what you'll see from us over the coming year is that number continuing to go up, the number of organizations making use of the product. We're going to market both direct and with partners. We've got some very good relationships with the likes of CSEC, the Chartered Institute of Information Security. We've worked with the Institute of Chartered Accountants and other such bodies in order to get the product out there into the market. And we work with partners, and we have multiple bids and client wins with the likes of Leonardo, the global aerospace and defense company, Satisnet, a major IT supplier, and NCC, the IT security FTSE 250 organization. The clients, the Risiken clients, are across the industry. It's not a single industry platform. So from healthcare to government, the local authorities, to manufacturing companies like Camel Laird, Nuvia in the nuclear industry, FTSE 250 chemical providers, charities, sports betting, any company that has suppliers that needs to evaluate their risk are of interest to us, and we're working with them. I won't go through here because of lack of time on the details of Nixa, which is our machine learning product, and Identiproof, which is our verifiable credentials product, but all that information is on the website and is in the slides as well. And we, as I said, we have the 3 products. We're aiming for 5 products by the end of next year. The consulting business has been building up very nicely, gives us a very good revenue stream and lots of client relationships. It's run by Stuart Jubb, our MD of consulting, ex-Army and ex-KPMG, very strong leader of that business. We have a high quality team there, a lot of ex-Big 4 directors and consultants, former military, blue chip systems integrator background folk. We do a range of services from across the whole consulting life cycle, cybersecurity consulting life cycle. And we also launched a recurring revenue vCISO proposition, which basically means that consulting are able to generate ongoing recurring revenue from clients. We've worked with over 75 clients on the consulting side, ranging from professional services, financial services, nuclear technology, right up to one of the world's largest global S&P 500 insurance brokers, and a whole range of companies. And the amount of recurring revenue that's coming from the consulting side is growing significantly. So it's 2.5 times. In 2020, it was 2.5 times what it was in 2019. We also acquired a company called Stega, which is a threat intelligence and monitoring company, earlier this year for about 1.8 million in total price. It brings additional capability in the area of threat intelligence and monitoring. It also brings 30 good new clients to us that we're happy with, that increases the number of clients on the consulting and threat intelligence side to over 100. It was a break-even company coming to us with 75% recurring revenue, so we were very pleased to acquire Stega and integrate that team. It's a very good team, very technical group of guys. As I said, we are opening up in Oman. Our approach, geographic approach, is UK, Europe, Gulf. We're very strong in the UK. We have a team in Poland, in Europe, and we're expanding that team. And we've just opened in Oman, working with a partner there, the Al Rawahi Group, a group with 10,000 people, reach across Oman, and Dubai, very experienced group of people, and we'll be working closely with them. Just timeline of events, and then I'll stop and take questions. As I said, I started the company in March 2014. We were admitted to AIM in December 18. We launched the first version of Risicon in September 2019. We launched Risicon. Nix started to get that into the market in the back end of 19. Identiproof, we acquired that company, VCL, in 21. And then Stager, the threat intelligence company, we acquired in August 21. We'll keep our eyes open for other interesting opportunities to acquire companies as we go forwards in order to build scale as well. When we did this slide originally, we were a total of 60 staff. We're now about 70 staff in 2 offices in Waterloo and Krakow. Obviously, people are working remotely at the moment, and we've worked with a lot of universities and have a lot of relationships. The company is growing very nicely. As I said, 2020 we grew by 25%. 2021 we'll meet market expectations of 50% growth, and we'll see that continuing into 2022 as well. So I will pause there and take questions. Thank you very much.
Question from me. It seems in recent weeks, cyber attacks of different sorts seem to be in the news headlines again. General trends, are there more? Is it occurring at the moment, or is it just they're being reported more? Can you set the scene for the kind of frequency that the businesses in particular seem to be facing at the moment?
Yes, there are always a lot of cyber attacks. I remember when I was Chief Information Officer of Egg, the internet bank, in the early days. I remember one of the non-exec directors saying to me, Tom, how often are we attacked? And I kind of said, you really don't want me to answer that question because it is continuous. You know, the level of attacks is continuous, and in a way, you don't tend to, in the cybersecurity business, it's not so much how many attacks there are, it's the sophistication of attacks. So, for example, there was an attack not long ago that was called the SolarWinds attack, where, and this was a great example of what I said was a supply chain attack. What the attackers did is they managed to attack a particular company that was a supplier to a large number of companies around the world. And therefore, by attacking that company, they impacted hundreds, if not thousands of companies in one go. So in the industry, what we get really interested in is new types of attacks. It's attacks that are very widespread. It's unusual attacks. That's what you get interested in. But in general, cyber attacks are not going anywhere, and they are very, very sophisticated. On the whole, people are very smart, and therefore companies know that they have to be very smart. It's one of those areas that almost in enterprise budgets, it almost never gets cut. You know, you can't. It's really hard to justify if you're in a company cutting your cybersecurity budget. Why would anyone ever do that? It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, good. Thank you. First question, what's the intellectual property at the heart of Risicon, and what IP protection is in place?
So we developed the product based on research carried out at City University, and we licensed some intellectual property from City University at the heart of the product. Over time, we've built a lot around that now. So I would say now a lot of the IP around Risicon has been built by us, and the original core of IP that came from City University is now no longer so critical. So we own the vast majority of the IP related to Risicon. It's not patented. In this space, you tend not to go down that path because it's more about speed of execution, and you know, it has the usual protections, but it's not sort of like hardware type IP, which you tend to go down the patent path, or very specific sort of software algorithms, you might go down that path. But for more general software, it's really about the amount of time and effort and learning that's gone into it, and the lines of code. You know, we've got tens and tens of thousands of lines of code in the product that have been developed and hardened over the last few years. Not easy for anyone to replicate quickly.
And a few questions about your relationships with the universities. First part, are all the products originating, did they all originate from universities? And the second part is in ongoing relationships. Do you have revenue share, or do you any shared equity or joint ventures, or do you own those products outright?
Yeah, so not all the products have come directly from universities. Actually, the three products that we've got, in a way they have. But for example, if you look at Identiproof, which is the verifiable credentials one, that came from the university in the sense that it was developed by a professor called Professor David Chadwick, who's a global authority in that area. And he then developed it with the university. They created a product, and that company was jointly owned by the professor and the university. Crossword then bought that company, and when we bought that company, we no longer had a relationship, and we didn't then owe anything to the university. We took it over. With Risicon, the intellectual property there, we have a license agreement with City University. We wouldn't, within any of our businesses or in any of our initiatives, do an equity share with the university. That's not our model. You know, we will either pay the university something for the intellectual property if we think that's worth doing, but more likely what we'll do is do a revenue share or a profit share, so that if we're successful, then they're successful as well.
Okay, next one. What does the metaverse mean for cybersecurity?
I think that's a really interesting question, and actually really important, because I was over in Silicon Valley a few weeks ago and met a lot of companies, and there is a lot of conversation about the metaverse, and what they see it being is the next generation of the web. The way that some of the folk over there see it is, it's as fundamental a shift from when we all used screens to access the digital world to when we all used mobile phones and tablets and so forth. And that was quite a shift. What they're seeing is there is another shift, which is from mobile phones and tablets to augmented reality, virtual reality, and those sorts of technologies. So it's quite a fundamental shift. From a cybersecurity point of view, whenever there's a big landscape shift like that, it opens up possibilities for new attacks that haven't been seen before. There's new types of data that's being held, there's different data that's being held, and often people rush into these areas. Everyone wants to get into the metaverse and do things and build things and so forth, and they often don't think about the cybersecurity implications up front. So from our point of view as a business, we know that we're going to be called upon to say, how can you help make the metaverse more secure? As soon as we start to see some attacks that cause problems, people lose data, companies get into problems in doing things in the metaverse environment, the demand for people who understand both metaverse and cybersecurity is going to be really critical, and we do.
We had quite a few questions about the competitors and competitive environment. We've probably only got one time for one more, so I'm just going to kind of put them together. If you could, could you talk, who do you regard as your major competitors, and then further to that, how do you position, or what's your advantage over some of the larger or better resourced competitors?
Yes, so because we do various things, we have sort of different competitors. We understand the competitive landscape really well. So on the consulting side, there are quite a number of competitors. There are the big four, obviously, the KPMGs, etc., etc. What we are able to offer versus those sorts of folk is the same quality of consulting support, but at a different price point, because we hire the same sort of people, the same quality people. In fact, many of them, we have people from Deloitte, KPMG, PwC, etc., who've come and joined us, but we don't have the huge overheads that some of those firms have. So we're able to provide big four level services at a more reasonable price point, and we often win on that side of things. There's also the individuals and the smaller companies but we're more organized in the way that we work than some of those guys. So that seems to work well. On the product side, we have a number of competitors. Often with Risican, our competition will be the way the company addresses it at the moment. So often a company will use spreadsheets, it'll use PDF forms, it'll send out things to its suppliers saying, please fill this in, please tell us how you do that. The suppliers send all that stuff back and they put it into spreadsheets, and it's all over the place. And actually it's not compliant either, GDPR compliant. You shouldn't be sending that stuff out like that. So what we're often doing is having a conversation with a company that says, look, move from doing it yourself and doing it in this way to using a secure, encrypted, scalable platform that will both reduce risk and address some of those compliance issues.
Lovely. Tom, that's it. We're done on time. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.